Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, standing in for Adam McCullough, who's gone home to explode. With me is Stephen Howson. In case you needed telling, RB Leipzig 3, Manchester United 2, we're out of the Champions League.
Jay, what happened?
Well, you tell me, brother. What went on?
I don't know this, but I'm going to pose it as a question.
Go on.
The way we started, did we look unprepared? See where I'm going with this?
That's a rhetorical question for anyone wondering why.
Well, no, we obviously did. We were unprepared, but I'm about to say perhaps the reason we were unprepared is maybe the plans changed during the flight over to Leipzig last night.
Right, okay, let's get into that then, because you've touched on it. Do you believe that Paul Pogba would have been starting but was dropped because his agent came out with comments about him wanting to leave and not being happy at the club, and also had a dig at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, etc.?
I think it's possible. I don't think it definitely is. I think it's definitely possible.
Are you putting any weight in the Raiola Pogba comments into what happened against Leipzig?
Well, I don't know if you had the sound on down here.
No, we didn't, thank God, because if I'd have listened to Peter Walton going over a decision, I'd have thrown something at the telly.
I had the sound on up there. Pre-game, Rio and Scholesy got into it.
Right.
And it was genuine listening, because normally they've got game face on. They've got Here I Am, BT Sport presenter. And the mask slipped off the pair of them. And they basically just had an argument.
Really?
It wasn't like fisticuffs. It wasn't nasty. It was just like, Scholesy was kind of saying, would you let it affect you? And Rio didn't say yes, but was like, of course it affects the team. That sort of stuff. It's not acceptable, that sort of stuff. And it was interesting seeing both of them going back and forward at it. And he even goes, well, remember Wazza? And you're like...
Really?
So you're like, but the...
I take it Rio said, remember Wazza?
Yeah.
Right.
And he was saying, like, but the club came out and put a stop to it, and the guy signed his contract a couple of days later. And they were saying, like, the club have allowed this sort of shit to go on, essentially was where he was saying with it. I don't think you can blame all of this on that.
Right, okay.
Because this shit should have been dusted in Istanbul. We should have been 3 for 3 in Istanbul, or at least come away with a draw, and would have been in the hat for the next round. No, nobody expected us to go through. We were in a group of death with the semi-finalists and the finalists from last season. Everyone's like, you lot are fucked.
Yeah. And
then when we don't get out, everyone's like, You're like, you said you weren't going through. But we could have gone through. We needed a point in the last 2 games. 2 games, 1 point.
I want to get on that, though, because everyone's been saying about Istanbul. Maka said it, Joe said it, and you're right. You've said it, and you're right. That was a shambles. But what's this new thing that United did where apparently winning games at home is like a rarity? Why is it like, oh, well, PSG at home, yeah, we weren't going to win that one. Why not? Why is that a thing?
We had the opportunities to win that.
That's what I mean.
We absolutely had the opportunities to win that. We should have won that game. But you would have to say, on paper, beating PSG is probably a tougher ask than beating Istanbul. I don't even know how to fucking pronounce them shit.
I've not learned it. I just keep saying Istanbul. You're right. And it just seems like collectively as a team, collectively in the terms of games, the amount of games, it's just not one thing. It's like almost a collection of rubbish, and I'm being polite there. Talking about tonight, you were watching that game. I saw you at half-time. You were sort of analysing what had gone on and what went wrong. But for those who didn't see it, I mean, that start, that defensive showing, if I can even call it that, what did you make of that?
Well, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Ollie changed it at half-time, and he changed it, and immediately United got onto the front foot. Now, props to Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann identified what happened. Now, I did my opposition preview on Saturday. Didn't know the situation with Marshall, didn't know the situation with Cavani, certainly didn't know the situation with Pogba. I think all 3 of them were in my team.
But that went down well, didn't it, in the comments? And people go, why did you put them in?
Even though I mentioned it at the time, like I'm recording this on Saturday, so things could change. People are still like, Cavani's not even travelled, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that, but I'll put him in anyway.
Just thought I'd do it to wind you all up. But yeah, so I thought those would all be integral parts of the team. Now, I went with either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. And I was like, let's attack them. Because as we saw at times, if you can get beyond that midfield, the gaps in between their defence and their midfield are pretty vast, and you can actually get at them. And you'll score goals against them. We scored 7 goals against them in 2 matches. I think that proves the point. You'll score goals against them as and when you need to. What they did was they went, right, United are probably going to play one or two things, looking at the lack of strikers available. And I mentioned that at half-time. There's probably only a couple of options you've got. One would have been, I mean, this half-time, I'm not saying we would go with this now, but one is going to be a 3-5-2, which has worked very effectively for Solskjaer in big games, including in Europe and including at PSG in the first game. So why wouldn't Ollie think that that's a system that he can use? Of course he would. And the other one would be the 4-4-2 diamond. In hindsight, maybe the diamond would have been better. Because what Leipzig did is they probably analysed what we did at Paris. They didn't have Paulsen as a target man, and they basically lived in the two channels. And by living in the two channels, they completely took out Matic and McTominay out of the game completely. And they took them out of the game when they was in possession by going from the left channel to the right channel, and in doing that, just completely sent our defence west. It's not the most organised defence, and that has to go to Maguire. But then you have to look at the positional discipline of Wan-Bissaka, because it was shit. You have to look at the positional discipline of Luke Shaw, which was like a fucking cat in a field. And you have to go, those things aside, what they then did when we had the ball is it was like, let the defence have it, for two reasons. One, who the fuck are they going to play a long ball up to? Mason Greenwood and Rashford, sound. Or Bruno, not even with a stepladder. So they said, bollocks, let the defence have it, and we'll just block off. And they blocked off the lines again to Matic and McTominay. They took Matic and McTominay out of that game, offensively and defensively. And they made us not be able to play through the middle. It was excellent tactical work from Nagelsmann, and it was excellent tactical work from Solskjaer at half-time to change it. And loads of people in the comments are like, oh, fuck off, Steve. No, it wasn't. Well, it was. And you have to admit when things have gone right and wrong and when people have done a good job. And Nagelsmann did a good job in the first half, and Solskjaer did a good job in the second half, changed it. The Telles substitution was a fucking weird one. I don't understand why you leave Luke Shaw on, and then especially when you bring Brandon Williams on afterwards. I didn't understand that one in the slightest. Tim looked shit when he came on. Tuanzebe looked shit when he came on. So the substitutions didn't really, apart from Pogba, ironically, the substitutions didn't really offer a great deal for him. Van der Beek looked good. But he then switched it up to go and bring Van der Beek on, have someone who could hold possession in, and immediately Van der Beek looked like he was going to cause them trouble. And we just really ran out of time. As soon as the third goal went in, you're like, well, this is fucked, innit?
I will push back slightly on one thing you said there, and I don't know if you have misconstrued what you said there, but I thought Williams was just a fucking breath of fresh air, mate.
He was, but it didn't make a lot of sense to take Telles off, leave Shaw on, and then...
Yeah, because I was getting so angry with what I was seeing from Williams, not because it was bad, but because it was like, oh, we've got someone running down the left-hand side who's getting into the box. We've got someone who looks like he gives a toss, and you've gone from it a tactical angle, and you're right. But just from, and I know this is a proper sort of Brexit idea, but, passion and leadership and giving a toss, just show me a bit of that, lads. And there wasn't that, and there was from him, and there was from Bruno Fernandes. You're always going to get that.
Out of both of them players.
Yeah, and it was like... I know Marcus cares. I'm not saying he doesn't, but he was off the pace tonight. It wasn't his day. Mason, tried his best, but it wasn't happening for him.
Well, they had like a shot each in the first half. Yeah. It's not enough.
No, and it wasn't the usual shot for Mason where I know it's 15 yards out, whatever, or 20 yards out, but he usually, bursts the back of the net with that. But also as well, I'm sick of seeing this. How many times are we going to see that from defenders after a goal's gone in, looking around like this?
I can't remember. I think I'm in the first one. As it comes over, Maguire's only just getting into the box, and you think, it's a fucking cross from a crossing zone. It's not like they've just done some shit that they're going to be analysing for weeks and go, have you seen this? What did he do, Steve? He crossed it. Where from? Like there on the pitch. Oh, you mean where people cross fucking loads from? Yeah.
I know it's not like one thing, and we keep saying it's collective and this, that, and the other. I mean... If you're going to point fingers, do you blame Ollie? Do you blame just...
Well, he's not blameless.
Do you know what I mean?
He isn't blameless because...
Got to be honest about it. Who's got to sort of take some responsibility?
I think the Fred issue's become a bigger issue than it should have been because ultimately he got sent off by a mistake by the referee.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you should have took him off, I said I would have done.
Yeah.
Plenty of you would have said you would have done. But you've got to look at what Fred offers in the team. And tonight you probably saw shades of it where... Matic and McTominay do not cover enough ground. They can be pretty static in midfield. It might not have gone down the same way if Fred had been there. Fred's energy, I think he probably still would have got caught out because they was doing some serious amount of distance on the balls. But you might have also seen us maybe go to a 3 or a 4-2-3-1, and we might not have needed to go to the back 4. So I think Ollie probably takes a little bit of blame for going with a back three. But I think people are massively over-egging how much blame he takes for going for a back three, because it isn't like this is the first time he's used a back three and it didn't work. Or he's used it 15 times and it's never worked.
Yeah.
It's literally always worked. I'm not even sure. I'll have to go back and check. I'm sure there's probably one game he's fucked up with it. But by and large, the back three has been a very successful formation for Ollie. So I think he gets... I mean, and a lot of people are going, oh, but why didn't you just go for it? Well... Imagine we'd have had a very attacking formation and gone 2-0 down in like 20 minutes. Then it'd have been called tactically naive. Whereas I think it probably was a mistake, but it's also a nightmare of a situation to be in where you need a point. It's a horrible situation that every one of us was flapping about anyway, because you're like you're in or there. Now, I think you can see from everybody, and this from under 8s upwards, everyone knows, fucking keep it tight, especially in the situations where it is, where a point will do us. You don't want to lose the game. You're not scoring after 90 seconds, or you're not conceding after 90 seconds.
Mate, come on.
I guarantee the last words out of Ollie's fingers was, you fuckers keep it tight. 20 minutes. Nothing. Not a fucking gap. And then 90 seconds in, they're like...
What was it? 12 minutes in, it's like... You know, it looked like as well after 29, actually, it was 3.
If you look, I was watching a replay. When you look at as Leipzig start to move the ball for the first thing, the fucking shape looked great. It's like on paper, perfect sort of tactical kind of shape, and they just hit us with something that we weren't fucking ready for.
Just a couple more things before we wrap up. Is Ollie under pressure? I know every United manager's under pressure. Do you see the board looking at this and going, is this the right man, or do you think that?
Well,
he's probably in a similar position as he was before the game.
Pep's 4.5 years into his project, spent $1 billion, most of it on defenders, and he's below us in the league.
I'm not even going to... Yeah, you're right. Facts.
And if you don't like that, I'm sorry you don't like the truth. And he's supposedly the greatest manager the world's ever seen.
Right.
So Alex Ferguson went out in the group stage in 05 and 06. I think he won 1 game. And this is at a time when he had a couple of fellas you might have heard of. Rooney, Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand, Manu Vidic. Roy Keane was there actually for the time when we went out. Like, some half-decent players in there. This leads
me on to my next question. The Europa League, do we take this seriously? We're in it now.
Do you know what?
We might not like it, but we're in it.
We always have these conversations.
I know.
And we always say no.
Right.
And the team always goes and takes it serious. And I think there's financial pressures to take it serious. And and hilariously, like, as much as we'd all go, I don't want to fucking win it. 1, Stockholm was mint.
It was mint.
2, can you imagine if we do get knocked out? Like, we come up with a fucking, like, who knocked us out in 2011? Was it fucking
Bilbao, wasn't it? Your mate.
No, Bielsa did us twice, actually. But in the group stage, who the fuck beat us? It was Benfica, Basel.
Not Oslo Galate.
Yeah, Galate.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to come up against some fuckers like that, aren't we? And then lose to them when we all say we don't care, and then lose our fucking minds when we do.
So there you have it. Steve says, go for it in Europa. That's been Stephen Howson, Abby J. I don't know why we're laughing. I think we're just delirious, to be honest with you. You know, this fucking team, man. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe.
Why wasn't the internet around in 99? Or better, 91?
I know. Why?
Imagine how many good memories we had.
All the years we could have gloated, properly gloated. Do you know what I mean? Instead of like writing into a fanzine or... Do you know what I mean? Like the comments page and the MEN before it became
Remember 14:13 AM?
A blog. Yeah.
You only used to get it when you was like close enough to the ground.
Yeah. That was the worst radio station, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ever. Like that made MUTV.
A man walked in front of your car while you was in traffic and you lost signal while the guy walked in front of your car. Weak as piss.
People were ringing them up to tell them the score. That's how bad that United radio station was.
What was it called? Was it called Man U Radio?
It was so, like exactly. Even the name was like, I can't remember what it was. We'll have a Google and let us know in the comments.
14:13 AM.
We're not making this up. This did happen, and it was terrible, just like Manchester United were tonight against Leipzig. But you know, Europa, here we come. That's been Steve Howson, I've been Jay. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.